My Destined 1, Tensura x Arifureta by Void Kane. Ch.2. Tortoise Hajime closed his eyes because of the strong light from the bright circle, and when he opened them, the first thing he saw was a 10-meter mural. On this mural was a blond man with a halo on his back. When Hajime looked around, he saw that he was in a very well-designed marble hall. He looked at his classmates and saw that Kaori and her brother were fine. He was relieved, and everyone began to assess their surroundings. Besides his colleagues, there were 30 people kneeling before them. These 30 people wore white clothes with faint blue details. The person who was closest had the most prominent clothing and clothes reminiscent of a priest. He had a staff in his right hand. This man approached and spoke. "Welcome to Tortoise Hiro-sama and his companions. I am Ishtar, Pope of the Church of the Eth. Let us get along well from now on." This man appeared to be 50 years old and spoke in a solemn and respectful voice while showing a gentle smile. Filled circle Rimuru was the only one who was not confused. In his world there were summoning rituals that required 30 mages or one powerful person to perform them. But by the looks of it, these didn't seem like bad people, as they introduced themselves politely and didn't attempt an enslaving curse like the summoners in Rimuru's world did. Obviously there was a chance that they just didn't have knowledge of this magic. All the students were taken to a very luxurious room with a long table that had seating for all of them. Aiko and Kuki's group sat at the end of the table as close as possible to Pope Ishtar. Hajime sat in the last seat with Rimuru beside him. Then the doors at the back of the room opened and beautiful maids came out and served water to the students. The pubescent boys stared at them with desire. Real maids who looked like they were straight out of a movie stirred their teenage desires. Meanwhile the girls cast them cold glances. Hajime looked at the pretty maid who served him, but then he felt a chill run down his spine from the smile Kaori was giving him and stopped staring. Rimuru wouldn't fall into traps like that, not least because his world he was used to being served by various beauties, but more importantly he had a bride in the other world with whom he kept in touch regularly. You want to know who the bride is? We'll talk about that later. Well, I think some will already know after this. Ishtar spoke in a voice that everyone could hear. So I know you are confused, so let me explain. What Ishtar explained to them was basically as this. This world had 3 races: demons, humans and demi-humans. These races lived separately and always clashed. The humans were outnumbered. The demons were stronger and the demi-humans were unbeatable in their territory because of their natural abilities. The demons and humans were always at war, but none of them attacked because their strengths were balanced by numbers and strength. Magical beasts were animals that acquired magical power. They varied in power, but having them on your side would be a great advantage in war. So with the magical beasts on their side, the demons now broke the numerical advantage of the humans and could attack at any time. That's why Eht-sama summoned you to take part in the war to save humanity from the evil demons. Because you come from another world and have passed through the barrier separating the worlds. You are much more powerful than the people of this world. You are our salvation. Apparently the person who told them that this was Eht-sama's wish was an oraculum who could contact God. Hajime and Rimuru were suspicious of this will of God, and thought that Ishtar was distorting the world for her own convenience. Rimuru even thought that it might have been Ishtar and the church that summoned them to this world and were just using the will of God as an excuse, but Seal said that Ishtar didn't tell any lies. However, that doesn't mean that everything he spoke was true. These could be the things that Ishtar believed but were not necessarily the reality. Teacher Aiko spoke after that. Please, no jokes, these children will not fight a war. I absolutely will not allow it. Send us back. This is kidnapping, you know. Aiko was furious. She was a novice teacher and only 25 years old, but she was very responsible and on many occasions protected her students. She was furious at the unreasonable invocation and requests, but Ishtar's words made her sit up in her chair. Unfortunately, we have no way to send all of you back to your own world. Everyone froze, including Rimuru. Normally he would be calm as he can transition between universes freely, but when he thought about it, Seal spoke. Unfortunately, I can't send us back. What? The magic that brought us to this universe is different from the magic I am used to. And there is also the factor that this universe is not connected to the other universes we have been to. The space-time laws here are different. I don't know what method was used for this invocation, But if there is a way back to our universe, it will probably be with magic from this world. Do you have any method of contacting the people there, at least? At the moment, no. The only possible thing would be to copy the magic circle seen earlier and try to summon a person from the Master's universe. But if I'm given enough time, I can analyze this universe and I can find a way to communicate with ours. Then I'll leave it to you, Ciel. You can count on me, Master. Rimuru was thoughtful at Ciel's words, but back to the present the students were. What do you mean they can't send us back, huh? If you can summon us, you can send us back, right? To those questions Ishtar answered. As I said, it was EHT-sama who summoned you. We have no method of sending you all back to your own world. That's, Aiko murmured before diving into her thoughts, searching for a solution. She cared deeply for her students and didn't know what to do if they couldn't return to their families. Meanwhile, the students were panicking and refusing to take part in a war. Ishtar was looking at them with a calm gaze, but in that gaze some noticed contempt. He must have been thinking, it is natural to feel honored to serve God. At that moment Kuki banged his fist on the table and stood up, silencing the students and causing them to look at him. All of you, there is no reason to make such a mess in front of Ishtar-san. He hasn't done anything to us. I will fight. If the humans need help, I cannot deny their request. If God summoned us to save the humans, he should send us back after saving them. What do you think of that, Ishtar-san? Right, Ihit-sama will fulfill the request of his saviors. Kuki spoke words full of justice, but he didn't realize how naive his words were. Ishtar seemed happy with his agreement. Right then, I will use this new power to fight and save the world, you will see. Kuki said confidently. I thought you were going to say something like that. If you go alone, it will be dangerous. I'm going to fight too. We have no other choice. Even if I don't like it, I'll fight too. Shizuku. If Shizuku-chan is going, I'm going too. Kaori. And so, with the most popular students in the class deciding this in this display of charisma, the other students agreed as well. Are they idiot? They do know what war is, don't they? Rimuru thought. He looked at his brother, who had his hand on his forehead and was looking down. Rimuru could understand what Hajime was thinking. It was, what are these idiots talking about? Aiko tried to convince them not to go to war, but was unsuccessful. Filled circle, filled circle, filled circle. After the students decided to participate in the war, they needed combat and magic training, or it wouldn't be impossible for them to face magical beasts and demons all of a sudden. They also found out that the kingdom they were in was the Harihi kingdom, which had a great relationship with the church, as it was rumored that the founder of the kingdom was a descendant of the god Eht. Before the training, they were going to the Mountain of God, which is the highest mountain in the world, similar in height to Everest. They passed through a magic portal that took them there in a second. Seeing magic for the first time amazed them. On top of God's mountain, you could see the entire capital of the Harihi kingdom. It had a castle that stood out in the middle of the city. Another highlight goes to the several churches that could be seen. This country reminded Hajime of pre-war Japan in the days when religion and politics went hand in hand. It was horrible. Filled circle, filled circle, filled circle. After visiting the kingdom, they went to the palace to introduce themselves to the royal family. There they passed several people who worked in the castle, knights, chambermaids, etc., all of whom looked at them with respectful eyes as if to say, "You are the apostles of God," which made them very uncomfortable. In the throne room there was a middle-aged man sitting on the throne and a woman of similar age beside him. These were King Eric and Queen Luluaria. The king and queen treated them super respectfully because they were apostles of God, and it made them super uncomfortable. Behind the thrones was Prince Randall, a young blonde boy of 10, and Princess Liliana, a beautiful young girl of 15 with hair the same color as her brother. Liliana chatted with them quite a bit, but Randall chatted only with Kaori. In fact, he seemed more like he was wooing her. It seemed that Kaori's charm worked even in this world. The students kept casting envious glances at Randall, but Hajime thought they were exaggerating. There was no way Kaori could fall in love with a 10-year-old boy. Some of the students like Rimuru, Hajime and Shizuku noticed that the king was very respectful to Pope Ishtar, showing once again the influence of the church in the kingdom. Then they had a delicious meal that was very similar to Western foods on Earth. When they finished the meal, they were taken to their rooms. They were once again uncomfortable as their rooms were very luxurious, But the people of the kingdom insisted on these rooms. So the students who had had enough surprise for one day lay down on their fancy beds and fell asleep.